Good morning. My name is Ed Barberini. I'm the police chief with the San Bruno Police Department. Thank you for being here today. I'm joined by several folks behind me. Our mayor of San Bruno, Rico Medina, our city manager, Connie Jackson, our fire chief, Dave Cresta. From the FBI, we have Deputy Special Agent in Charge, Craig Fair, Commander Jeff Caldwell with the San Bruno Police Department, Lieutenant Ryan Johansson with the San Bruno Police Department, and Assistant Special Agent in Charge from ATF, Patrick Gorman. What I'd like to do today is kind of start from the beginning to give you a complete timeline of the events over the last 24 hours or less than 24 hours and give you an update of where we are now and address any questions that you may have after that. So we'll start from the beginning. On Tuesday, April 3rd at 12:46 p.m., the San Bruno Police Department received numerous 911 calls reporting gunshots at the YouTube campus located at 901 Cherry Avenue in San Bruno. San Bruno police officers arrived at the scene at 12:48 p.m., 2 minutes after receiving the first call. Officers immediately entered the campus and began searching for a possible suspect. Arriving officers encountered numerous employees fleeing the building and one victim with a gunshot wound at the entrance to the building. While searching for the suspect, San Bruno police officers located a female subject that was determined to be deceased. The cause of this individual's death is believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The deceased subject was ultimately identified as Nasim Najafi Aghdam, a 39-year-old female resident of San Diego, California. She is our suspect in this investigation. Two additional gunshot victims were located after fleeing to an adjacent business. A total of 4 people were transported to the hospital for treatment. 3 of those 4 were suffering from gunshot wounds. Following an initial search by San Bruno officers to identify any immediate threats, a perimeter was established by responding allied agencies. And tactical teams conducted an extensive search of the entire campus located at 901 Cherry Avenue. No other suspects were located, nor are there believed to be any additional suspects involved in this crime. Aghdam had been reported missing by family members to the San Diego Sheriff's Office on April 2nd. She had been reported to have been missing since March 31st. Early on the morning of April 3rd, Aghdam was located by the Mountain View Police Department and removed from the state's missing person system. Currently, there is no evidence linking Aghdam to any individuals at the scene at the time of this incident. A Smith & Wesson 9mm semi-automatic handgun registered to the suspect was recovered at the scene. Investigators also learned that the suspect went to a local gun range yesterday morning prior to visiting YouTube. The processing of the crime scene has been concluded up there on Cherry Avenue. San Bruno investigators, with the assistance of ATF, are in the process of executing search warrants at 2 residences in Southern California believed to be associated with our suspect. The suspect is believed to have parked her vehicle to the rear of a neighboring business and accessed the campus via a parking garage. The suspect's vehicle has been secured and is expected to be processed over the course of the next few days. The investigators will also be working to gain access to and review all social media related posts associated with the suspect in an effort to further comprehend the motive for this crime. At this point in the investigation, it is believed that the suspect was upset with policies and practices of YouTube. This appears to be the motive of for this incident. I'd very much like to thank and recognize the numerous local and federal agencies who provided assistance in managing this incident. YouTube's response to this critical incident was also extraordinary. They were extremely prepared to offer services to all of their employees in a swift and timely manner. This would have been much more challenging for us without all of their assistance. Finally, I'd like to mention how proud I am of the San Bruno police officers, especially those who were first on scene. Not only the timeliness of their response, but the actions they took as they responded significantly limited the window of time available to the suspect to cause harm to additional victims. Our department has worked to be as open and transparent as possible in sharing information regarding this incident, and will continue to strive to do that. However, from this point forward, the investigation is expected to be very deliberate and methodical. I do not anticipate having additional information in the immediate future to share. When we do develop additional information, we'll let you know, and we will distribute that. So with that, before addressing any questions, I'd like to introduce the Fire Chief, Dave Cresta, to summarize and describe the fire and EMS response to this incident. Chief?
Good morning. As the chief said, I'd like to just go over the fire and EMS response to the YouTube facility. So San Bruno Fire responded to a fire alarm at YouTube 901 Cherry at 12:48 hours. While en route, the battalion chief was advised by the San Bruno Police Department that shots had been fired on site. Upon arrival, fire units were advised that there were multiple patients in and around the YouTube building. A second alarm was requested and a mass casualty incident was declared. Fire and EMS initially treated 2 patients that were in the adjacent Carl's Jr. Once law enforcement secured the lobby of the YouTube building, crews were able to enter and remove a gunshot victim located inside. This patient was transported at 1:04, so within 12 minutes we were able to transport that serious critical victim to San Francisco Trauma Center. Fire and EMS crews established a trauma and treatment area outside of the building, and additional fire units entered the YouTube facility with law enforcement escort and what we term force protection to search for additional victims. The fire and EMS response included a total of 7 fire engines, 2 fire trucks, 4 battalion chiefs, 4 ambulance and an AMR supervisor, as well as an incident dispatcher. I concur with the chief. I want to commend the firefighters from our San Bruno as well as the neighboring jurisdictions who responded and worked cooperatively with law enforcement to gain access to the building and find these victims and treat and transport them as rapidly as possible. That's all I have to say right now, and I'll turn it back over to the police chief.
Thank you, Chief. I'd now like to introduce the Mayor of San Bruno, Rico Medina, for some comments. Mayor.
First, as most of you know, San Bruno is no stranger to a crisis. And through that, we have professional and well-trained public safety personnel that, as I was up there yesterday, responded. They ran into an active shooting situation as it occurred. I also am very thankful and appreciative to all of the mutual aid we received and the support that we received from our neighboring communities. This is something you don't plan for or prepare for. But what I watched yesterday was an act of securing the scene, escorting those out, working collaboratively and cooperatively with YouTube from our city staff and our public safety law enforcement personnel. So as mayor of this city, I can tell you that we had a crisis yesterday, and our hearts and thoughts are still with the victims that are recovering in the hospital and with the YouTube and their employees who will be embarking upon work and trying to get themselves together as they move forward. No one goes to work thinking that this is what will happen to them around their mealtime, but it did. And I am thankful and appreciative of our public safety personnel and our law enforcement who took action and secured the scene. And I'm back to the chief for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. And we'd be happy to address a few questions if you have them.
What's the security is that she was just firing randomly, or did she, I know you said they had no connection to one another, but did she know who she was going for, or do you think she was just getting who she saw?
Yeah, at this point, we have no indication that she was selecting individuals to fire at. So whether that means she was firing randomly or not, we still have to work through that. But there's absolutely no link or relationship that we've identified between our suspect and anybody who was at the scene at the time of the incident. It was a local gun range. I'm not going to give the name of the gun range at this time. So we did not have any information that, and we're not familiar with what was passed on to any other agency. This was our first encounter and first awareness of this subject after we arrived on scene. We had no prior contacts or information regarding her. I'm not sure how it was received or relayed, so I can't answer that question right now.
What did ATF agents find in the Southern California Court?
I'm sorry?
What did ATF agents find this morning? We heard that they already searched.
My understanding is that is in the process now. It has not been concluded. Those searches are in progress.
And what security did she have? What security is in place at YouTube? And did she have to get past any security to get to this courtyard?
So we know the area of the campus where she entered. We're still determining what security measures she had to navigate through to get to where she was at. And we know the immediate area of how she got there. We're still working with the campus up there to determine how she may have defeated efforts to get on campus.
Is there security there? Have you worked with YouTube on security at their campus?
Yes, we've trained with YouTube regarding critical incidents. There is security on site. We just have to figure out where the area that she entered, what level of security existed at that point and at that time. And right now we're still working through that and don't have a specific answer.
When and where was the weapon purchased, and was it purchased legally?
She legally possessed and owned the weapon. I do not know where it was purchased.
How many shots were fired?
Multiple shots were fired. I don't have an exact number of rounds, but it was quite a few.
You know when it was
When she
purchased?
purchased her weapon?
I do not know when she purchased the weapon. No.
Can you explain again? Gun range and what's the name of the
She was at the gun range early the morning of the incident, and we're not releasing the name of the gun range, just that it's local.
Chief, can you explain again the nature, if any, communication between the Mountain View Police and your department about the family warning that she might be coming for YouTube?
Yeah, it's hard for me to answer that question because I don't know what was relayed to the Mountain View Police Department. We did not have communication with them prior to this incident.
Are you going to be looking further into that?
Sure, absolutely. We're going to follow every lead that we receive.
Do any of those leads, is there any suggestion of terrorism involved in this?
Well, we know that she was upset with YouTube, and we've determined that right now that's the motivation that we've identified. Whether that rises to the level of terrorism, hopefully will be determined in the next couple weeks once we sift through all of the evidence that we have to sift through, which is quite a bit. There's evidence that we don't possess. We're still conducting searches, and we still have some forensic examinations to conduct, so we don't know that yet.
Could you describe the parking garage again? So can anyone access the parking garage, and then how can you get into YouTube's zone?
There are pedestrian doors from the parking garage to open areas in YouTube. That's all I really know. I don't have a further description of that.
Chief, in this area, there are a lot of open campuses for high-tech companies. Is that an issue for police that you've got to figure out how to, it's a battle between security and openness?
Well, from a law enforcement perspective, we're always advocating for heightened security, and we always want to strengthen security measures, and we know we measure that with people having to operate a business. So I guess from a law enforcement perspective, which is probably a little biased, we're always looking for opportunities to harden targets or making environments as safe as possible for folks that work there. So I guess that would be our response, but we understand that has to be measured with other concerns and interests.
And do you have any information on the victim, any age or gender?
I do not. I do not.
Concerning to you at all, considering what the family said they were not police and you were not contacted?
I don't have any solid information about what was received or relayed. So once we evaluate that information, we'll take a look at it. At this point, I don't have enough to really know what type of reaction I have because I just don't know what was received or relayed.
Chief, do you have any sense of how the YouTube employees reacted when they confront her? Did they try to confront her? And was there any incident before she took her own life that
So my understanding is that the most of the employees were fleeing the scene. We're fleeing the scene, and the evacuation process was an orderly process. And I have to commend YouTube, the services that they offered to their employees following this incident. There was a large number of people, which is always a challenge for us to manage that number of people as far as providing services, from transportation to whatever kind of assistance is needed. They were able to help us out significantly with that, and that was a huge relief to us.
Were all the victims employees?
I don't know that. I don't know. They were all on the campus. I don't know whether they were employees or not.
Sir, how rare is it? Question for everybody. How rare is it for women to do an act like this? Where do you hear of women doing a mass shooting like this? How rare is it? Do we know?
I don't have numbers or statistics on that. No, I don't know.
How far did she make it inside the building? From that point of entry?
There's an open courtyard that she entered, and that's where the incident took place inside of a courtyard within the campus.
Are you talking to her family?
We are as part of the investigation. Yeah, we're following up all leads.
Are they cooperating with you?
We're not prepared to release any of that information right now. That's happening as we speak, so that's an ongoing investigation.
So did she get into the building, or did she remain in the courtyard?
My understanding is that she remained in the courtyard area of the campus.
Where was she found?
I don't have any information to suggest that. I'll take one more.
Is the garage only accessible for company employees, or?
I don't know that. We'd have to confirm that with YouTube. Those are some things we have to follow up on. So,
Chief, can you describe
Why she was turning the gun on herself? Did she say anything? Was there a confrontation of any sort?
not that we're aware of at this point.
You mentioned that you had done critical incident training. Is that active shooting?
Yeah. Yes.
What are the things that get you more experience?
Other than what we described as far as going to the gun range and being contacted in Santa Clara County, I don't have any other information.
And was the gun range Jackson Arms?
We're not going to release the name of the gun range right now.
Had she been staying in local hotels or in her car?
My understanding is I believe she was staying in her car, but she may have stayed at a hotel as well. So I'll take one more and then we're going to wrap it up.
Video surveillance tape?
We are reviewing video from the campus. All right. So thank you very much. When we have more, we'll give it to you. But I just want to emphasize that we're at the point where we've produced a lot of information in a short period of time, and we anticipate that what we're doing now is going to transition to kind of a slow, methodical process. So we don't have another press conference scheduled. When we do have information, which may not be today, it may be a few days from now, we will put that out and let you know. But I wouldn't anticipate additional information right now. We're sifting through a lot of information. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.